Hi, this is Matt with State of Flux here with the top 10 Star Trek The Original Series episodes. These are my top 10 for the original series of Star Trek. But before I talk to you about that, I'd like to talk to you about Wandering Witch Publishing. One of my friends started a publishing company. Wandering Witch is a space for growth where imaginative thinkers come together to challenge perspectives by engaging with counterculture through magical realism and real magicalism. This is an alternative publishing company that wants to specialize in poetry, short stories, and novels. If you are interested both in contributing and or consuming sort of alternative literature, this is the perfect publishing company for you. However, this upstart company needs help getting up and started. So, if you could take a look in the description box below, I have supplied a couple of links, both to the website itself, so you can learn a little bit more about Wandering Witch, or their GoFundMe page, where you can help them get upstarted. But moving on to my top 10 Star Trek episodes for the original series. Most of these come from Season 1, though Season 2 has a lot of episodes that I really do like. I'm focusing here, most of it is in Season 1. I'll let you know which season each of these are in, and I'm going to do it in descending order, so starting with 10, moving our way up to number 1. In the number 10 spot, we have The Menagerie. This is a recut episode. It's a two-parter, the only two-parter of the original series. It's a recut episode of the original pilot that starred Jeffrey Hunter in the Christopher Pike role. Pike would go on to be featured in other Star Trek media, including Star Trek, the J.J. Abrams movies, as well as being the center focus of Strange New Worlds, which is currently on television, and also having some stuff in Star Trek Discovery. This character goes all the way back to Jeffrey Hunter's role, who does a great job with it. They needed to make a bottle episode, essentially, for middle of the season because they started having budgetary issues. Roddenberry realizing and recognizing that he had this episode that went unaired in the bank, he devised a two-part episode, a way to show that episode so that that wasn't wasted money, and created a framework of a trial around it, a trial of Spock. It's a compelling episode that features one of the best episodes of the show, The Cage. But because that episode is so dissociated from the rest of the series, I didn't include that on the list, though it would be in the running, probably within the top 7-ish. But because it was recut into The Menagerie, I just included here. In the number 9 spot, we have Arena. This is where Kirk battles the Gorn. This is a compelling episode in that it shows you what Kirk has to do and how resourceful he is as a captain when he has nothing going for him. The opening of this is very, very jarring as well. There's constant battle, and because the show is limited in budget, you didn't necessarily see the constant battle, you're constantly hearing it, and it is still effective to this day. It's very good. The only thing that holds this episode back from being higher on the list is the budgetary limitations to make that Gorn really work. Now, the new special edition of the episodes does allow for some blinking of the Gorn, but it still has this rubbery feel about it, and some of the battle between Kirk and the Gorn is a little cheap. But it's still a great episode of television. My number 8 spot is the first episode from Season 2. It's not the first episode in Season 2, I think it's the 4th. That would be Mirror, Mirror. Mirror, Mirror introduces us to the Mirror universe that would have lingering effects throughout the entire rest of the franchise of Star Trek, dipping back into it for both Deep Space Nine, Enterprise, and arguably, possibly, Picard Season 2? I don't know, it's questionable. But Mirror, Mirror is a really neat, fun idea that sort of exposes you to what sort of a bastardized universe where everything is kind of gone amok and evil would look like if the Federation was more barbaric. Pretty compelling stuff. My number 7 episode, and I'm actually shocked that it's not higher on this list, but that just tells you how good some of these episodes are, is Star Trek The Corbomite Maneuver. This, along with Arena, shows how resourceful Kirk is. Kirk is kind of backed into the corner throughout The Corbomite Maneuver. And he's up against something that is quite pointedly telling him he's going to kill him, and he has to use his wits and his will to survive, not only for himself, but for every crew member on that ship. All of their lives are in danger, and it's his intellect, his cunning, and his ability to maneuver around a situation that makes this so compelling. This also has one of the greatest dramatic beats by Shatner as Kirk, where he delivers a beautiful monologue about things unknown, and it's powerful stuff, and some of the best writing for any Star Trek. It's a great episode. Number 6 is actually my number 6 pick is actually most people's favorite episode of the original series, and that is City on the Edge of Forever. Well, it's not quite enough to crack my top 5. It is an extraordinary episode of television. It produces some of the most compelling internal drama that one can go through. And the romance is authentic. This has Kirk and Spock having to go back in time to correct a wrong that reshape the future in a dark and disturbing way. And Kirk falls madly in love with a woman who's just out there trying to help, being an idealistic person, sharing and espousing the same idealism that the Federation and Kirk himself would have hundreds of years in the future, but set within the 1930s. And Kirk is forced to make a commitment to the future or to this woman, knowing what the future would hold if he did. And it is so compelling, so well written, exceptional television. And I get why this is most people's favorite. It has some campy qualities here and there and an incredibly abrupt ending, but I love this episode and worth your time. My number 5 pick is The Devil in the Dark. This episode could be laughable, especially with how dated some of those special effects are to make the alien really feel like an organic living thing. But it's genuine emotion and the nature of mob mentality and man's own instincts to destroy rather than understand that makes this episode soar. It is well written and incredibly well acted by both Shatner and Nimoy. They make this work. Aesthetically, it's pretty pleasing too, especially with some of the revamped technology and special effects and matte paintings and stuff that they did with the updated effects that you can get now. But that one is just a compelling bit of television. My number 4 spot is Space Seed. Were it not for this episode, we would not have Wrath of Khan. I'll explore Wrath of Khan at some other point, but Space Seed is the groundwork that makes that movie exist. Space Seed even ends on a note of what could be, and you're left wondering what could happen in the future, and the future that we get is stunning, to say the least. But independent of Wrath of Khan, this is just a good episode of television. Ricardo Montalban gives a great, charismatic performance as Khan, and how the structure of the episode is, and the man's intellect in taking down and exactly striking the areas that the Enterprise needs in order to survive, and how vital he is as a threat, makes it a no-brainer for him to be the villain of a forthcoming feature. This episode is great. Has great cast beats from everybody in it, and one that I highly recommend. My number 3 spot is the only episode from season 3 that I think is genuinely worth your time, and that is The Spectre of the Gun. This sends Kirk and crew back to Tombstone, where they're living the lives of I can't remember the Clancy? They're going up against Wyatt Earp. And they need to try to survive, but everything that they're doing to try and live the day is not going for them. And if they die there, they die in real life. And this is one of the great explorations of logic, and Spock and McCoy are put to such extraordinarily good use, especially during the final shootout. This is a nail-biter of an episode that's one of my favorites to watch and rewatch. I could watch this and the other 2 episodes on the down the line here every day, and I'd be satisfied. My number 2 pick, and I was so close to putting it number 1, but my number 2 pick is The Doomsday Machine. This feels like a feature film. The only thing holding it back, yet again, is its budget. If they had more money to sink into that Doomsday Machine itself, I think this would be the best episode of the show. It is well written, incredibly well acted, especially from the guest star who's playing Commander Decker. Is so good and so believable in his unhinged rage and fear. And the drama that Shatner's Kirk is put into, as well as Nimoy's Spock, is so fascinating. This is a nail-biter of an episode that you don't know how it's going to end, and I just absolutely love it. This is one of the things that I think is weird that has never been explored again, because that Doomsday Machine is still out there. And if I were writing a Star Trek movie or something, I thought they might touch on it with like one of the Abrams films. But this is where I would turn to for original series content. And then that leaves my all-time favorite episode of Star Trek the Original Series as being Where No Man Has Gone Before. The second pilot, the first one to feature Shatner, is so good. It is a complex and interesting story about what happens when man is given unlimited power. Can that power corrupt, or is man's will strong enough to overcome that corruption? Is compelling. The action of the episode is strong. I think it's the fist fight at the end, though very much of his time, works dramatically. It's unfortunate some of the electricity shots and stuff like that. The magic of the episode is lost a little bit due to budgetary constraints, but as dramatic storytelling goes, this is up there with the best of them. One of my favorite pieces of Star Trek media, period. Where No Man Has Gone Before, and I think Shatner, for his money, is at the best he possibly could be or has ever been. Maybe next to his comedic work in The Trouble with Tribbles is also pretty fantastic. But I digress. That's my top 10 in reverse order. Is number 10, The Menagerie, Part 1 and 2. Number 9 is Arena. Number 8 is Mirror Mirror. Number 7 is The Corbomite Maneuver. Number 6 is City on the Edge of Forever. Number 5 is The Devil in the Dark. Number 4 is Space Seed. Number 3 is Spectre of the Gun. Number 2 is The Doomsday Machine. And number 1 is Where No Man Has Gone Before. What are your top episodes of the original series? Let me know in the comments down below, and next I'll be coming at you with a series review and top 5 episodes of Star Trek, the animated series. Thanks for watching, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Check out Wandering Witch Publishing, and peace.